I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
And a happy Sunday fun day to everybody out there. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller.
Good morning, Scott Duff.
Good morning. I think it's time that we need to dust off our no blood for oil signs, I guess.
Lovely.
Yes.
Lovely turn of events.
Lovely turn of events. There we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. We're just powering through.
Yes.
Here we are. It is the official first Sunday of summer. And boy,
happy solstice.
It is a hot one.
It really is.
Hey, folks out there, just to let you know, Cook County has opened up 250 cooling centers. So if you do not have access to air conditioning, or you are feeling the effects of the heat and the humidity, it got really humid last night. Like, I felt it turn.
Yes.
There are 250 cooling centers. So go to just Google to find your nearest one. I know they've opened up a bunch, at least through Tuesday. So make sure you take care.
Take care, because it's dangerous.
And it's warm
certain
out there.
people can handle it and others cannot.
It is true. It is very, very true. I was handling it okay, I thought, yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
And then all of a sudden,
one of those that can handle it pretty well.
Yeah, but then the humidity came in. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, and I lived in Memphis and grew up in St. Louis.
You get used to it.
I know. But oof, there we are. But anyway, it's hot outside. We got a hot show for you today. And here, the Museum of Contemporary Art is gearing up for a new exhibit, City in a Garden, Queer Art and Activism in Chicago. And assistant curator Jack Schneider is going to be joining us later this hour. He's actually one of the curators for this particular exhibit.
Nice.
They do such great work at MCA.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic.
It's fantastic.
We're very lucky to have them here.
We are. So I am very excited to talk about this. And for this Pride season, About Face Theater offers Om Mission, a spellbinding and joyful journey through stories, music, and ritual to amplify the lives and legacies of Black lesbians. And we are going to be chatting with the show's creators and performers, Zara Baker and Shanta Nurula, two amazing women.
Looking forward to that.
Adore them. And Lord knows we need a laugh. And this Thursday, June 26th, Zany's Old Town presents the Pride edition of Thirst Trap Salon, featuring Manny Petty and hosted by Queenie. And those two kooky people are going to be stopping by the studio next hour. And of course, we would love to hear from you. So give us a call at 773-763-9278. That number again is 773-763-9278. Of course, you can find us on Facebook, where we are coming at you live. Just head on over to Out Chicago Radio, and while you're there, give us a click and a like and a share and all that good stuff. And also, you can tune in on WCPT 820 AM. We're everywhere. We're like on the YouTubes. We're on all the socials.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're
everywhere. There we are, just like Visa. And of course, we're trying to get this up and going, but I think we should be good to go. If you don't feel like talking to us, you can always just like beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop.
If you're shy.
With your fingers,
shy.
you can send us a text
but
with the Credo mobile phone and text line at 773-763-9278. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. And don't forget, next Sunday, you get to listen to the exclusive live broadcast from the Chicago Pride Parade, sponsored by Credo Mobile, next Sunday, June 29th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central. So, so we're very excited about that.
We will be at the Center on Halstead doing our thing.
We'll be doing our thing. There we are. So how are you doing, Ellen Miller?
I'm, hanging in there.
Well, don't let go.
Don't let go. I can. Trying to amuse myself with the lovely culture that we have in this city, the depth and breadth of which is just immeasurable, in my opinion. We saw, Kathy and I went and saw You Will Get Sick at Steppenwolf. That was on Sunday, was opening night, with the fantastic, wonderful, and a dear friend of mine, Amy Morton, in the lead role, along with
Namir
Smallwood, Sadea Rifa, who's another great actor, and Jordan Arredondo and Cliff Chamberlain. It's an interesting play. There's a lot going on. But
it's a very interesting title. I know it's about somebody who is sick.
Yeah, it's about somebody who is very sick and can't bring themselves to tell the people closest to them. So they literally put an ad up and reach out and said, if you will call me, I want to talk to you, I'll pay you $20 or something. And Amy needs the money, or her character needs the money. And she makes the phone call, and then the relationship begins from there.
Right, well, there we are.
Yeah, she makes a phone call. But it is a great vehicle for an actor like Amy Morton. It's just...
When was the last time she was on stage at Steppenwolf?
It's been 10 years. I forget what show it was, but I hear it was 10 years since she was on stage.
Well, she's been very busy with Chicago PD.
She's got her...
Chicago Fire?
Chicago PD.
PD,
and she is, as Trudy, she's she's a friend of mine. We share a birthday, and we've known each other since the 80s. And we visited with Amy and her husband Rob after the show, and she's got season 13 starts in August.
All right,
for Chicago PD. But I think a vehicle like this, you do a episodic TV for 13 years, it's pretty turnkey. But you do a show like this, you stretch. You get to use some muscles you haven't used.
So you get to play a different character.
And you play a different character, and a very interesting character. So I recommend it. It's awesome. Steppenwolf is great. Amy is great, and that's what we did on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, so as long as we're talking about theaters, Goodman Theater is hosting a Pride event. They're celebrating Pride Month. They're hosting Pride Night Out on June 27th at 6 p.m. It's before the 7:30 performance of The Color Purple, directed by my friend Lillian Brown. People have already, they just started, I think they're just starting previews. A friend of mine saw their final dress rehearsal and was just blown away by this production of The Color Purple.
I'm looking forward to seeing it in a couple of weeks.
Yep, so on June 27th, you can gather in the Goodman lobby with a special DJ and get discounted drinks and tickets to the show. And tickets are available at goodmantheater.org/pride.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
a lot of things. We've got another week of Pride, so get out there and do all the things. Pride Fest is wrapping up today. Is it on Halstead?
It's on Halstead. It's north. It's north of Addison.
North of Addison. Also, Juneteenth on Thursday. Kathy and I went to the Old Town School of Folk Music. They had a Juneteenth celebration with the wonderful Cheryl Youngblood Band. Cheryl is fantastic. She's a force of nature. They had an ensemble of 3 African Americans opening up, and then they did spirituals, and they did classic songs that they had all of us singing along to. And there's something about singing along to songs that, especially with the world we're in today, just as a group, singing along, singing songs about civil rights and about the struggle, and happy songs, sad songs. We sang. It was a beautiful way to start, and then Cheryl played, and it was nice to celebrate Juneteenth with music.
Yeah.
And then Friday we saw Steve Earle at the Vic Theater. Steve Earle. Interesting guys. It was the 50-year retrospective. Who's 70.
Steve Earle? I don't look. Now you're on your septuagenarian tour. I've been on mine, but I don't know Steve Earle.
Steve Earle's a singer-songwriter and an actor. He was in the show Treme. He had a role in Treme.
Oh, okay.
He's been around for 50 years. He started his career at age 20, and he's 70.
Wowza. And
so he did a solo show where he told stories of his life. He's had a rough life. He was an addict. He was in jail. I was at WXRT when his star started to rise, and Lynn Bramer, who was the music director, loved his record, and we had a show at Park West. It was called an XRT budget show where people only paid like $5 to get in. Yeah. And he said that was a turning point in his career that night.
Oh, wow.
At Park West, and I was so honored to have been there.
Yeah.
And he also, and he never does forget to mention Lynn Bramer, and he talked about Lynn, and who passed away, the morning drive DJ at WXRT, who passed away almost 2 years ago. Was it 2.5 years? Time is flying by.
I know, time is flying by.
Anyway, I was like a puddle,
Yeah, but that's so wonderful. Again, what a legacy, because I know you and Lynn were very, very close.
Yes,
and again, what an incredible legacy that he left behind, that people are so thank you so much because of Lynn Bramer. Yeah. I'm now here.
And
how awesome is that?
Yeah, and and Lynn's widow was in the audience as well. So just, it's been it's been good. It's been, it's tears and it's happiness, and just trying to get through every day. And had a little dinner party last night. Stayed at home. Wanted to enjoy our yard, but everybody was so hot we couldn't stay out there.
Girl, it was so hot. It was so hot, and because it's so hot, where we are, it is nothing but we actually we were able to sit out on Friday because it was before it got too hot.
Right.
But we were ate up by mosquitoes. I was like, oh no, we didn't get our little off thing. It was just, I swear to God, I think I have malaria now.
Because we haven't been outside as much because it was too cold and rainy, and now it's
like
malaria.
tropical. Yeah.
We'll get it together. I also went to couple of Cub games that they lost both of them.
Girl, let me tell you.
Thursday and Friday.
Let me tell you on the Credo Mobile text line, because first of all, I want to thank Patty for having me fill in for her on Friday.
Yeah,
it was
I heard
a
you did
great
a great
time.
job.
It was
You filled
wonderful.
in.
It was a really great time.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. Super duper fun time. And you can find that podcast wherever you get your podcasts. But somebody, I do want to give a shout out to, I think his name was Mark, who sent us a text on the Credo Mobile text line, who was like, okay, my joke is, I would love to listen to Out Chicago one time where both you and Ellen just said,
we did nothing.
And I was like,
that
you're
ain't
right.
happening.
Yeah, I'm like, and I just laughed. It's like, you are absolutely correct. But that's more Ellen. And he just went, yeah, she's crazy.
She's crazy. She's crazy.
So
my wife says the same thing about me when I drag her around town every night to something.
Yes.
We were home. We were in Michigan for 2 nights, for 2 days and 1 night too. So yeah, we took Maggie, our pup, up. Our friend has a giant pool, and our dog.
I saw videos of her swimming.
She was in that water.
That's
she's
awesome.
suffering from lymphoma, so every day is a gift with her, and we wanted to give her a special couple of days in the water.
That's why she loves water. See,
she loves water.
Emmett does not.
Yeah,
he loves going to the beach, but he likes going to the beach to get petted.
Okay, he doesn't get in the water.
No, when he gets in the water, he kind of just starts lifting his legs up, like he's kind of
trying to touch it.
Going through like some sort of like he's hiking through mud is what it looks like. He's like he's like, this is uncomfortable and I don't understand.
Is he a fetcher? Will he fetch a ball?
No. Oh. No, like,
that's what got her. She goes out for the tennis ball. I throw it out in the water.
We didn't really nurture that instinct. Like we would throw. We do have a little one of those things where we would throw the ball, and he would just run. And he's so cute. He's old, so he doesn't run as much right now. But when he runs, he runs like Phoebe on Friends, just like all arms all over the place. Like, and they would run to the ball, get it, and then just leave it. I'm like, well, that's not the point. You need to bring it back this way so we can do this again. And he was like, no, it's fine.
That was our first dog. That was
fine.
She ran to the ball and left it.
That was fine.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, this is cool.
So did you have a nice week otherwise?
Yeah. It was Jerry's birthday this week.
I saw.
So the
Happy
birthday celebration.
Jerry. What'd you guys do?
We went out for sushi because that's what he wanted to do on his birthday. So we went to sushi. We had
place you like, or a new place, or?
We went to a place called Here's the deal. Unless it's sashimi, sushi to me tastes the same. It all tastes the same. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm down for it. I'll eat it. Like, I don't think it's gross. It just, I'm like, so we went to Finn. It was lovely.
Good.
And delightful. Finn, it's in, I guess, North Side. I don't know what neighborhood. It's Ravenswood, I guess is what it is. It's on Wilson and Hermitage.
Yeah,
cute space and a really great patio. Oh. But it was raining, so we couldn't do the patio. Oh. But it's really cute. And good food if you like the sushi.
I love the sushi.
Yeah, there we are. It's really good. So we did that, and then last night we had folks over because it was our friend Katie's birthday on Friday. So we did another little joint birthday.
Very nice
celebration.
Was there cake involved?
No, there was a pie. Jerry Dye made the Shoney's strawberry pie. Now, I don't know if you are familiar with Shoney's and Shoney's Big Boy. Do you?
I've seen it in my travels. In my
was it not here in Illinois?
No, it was, unless it was downstate. It might have been downstate.
It probably was downstate because I know we had them in St. Louis. And for me, like Shoney's breakfast bar, that was my first hour English class my senior year. I would just skip and we'd go to Shoney's breakfast bar.
Yeah, Shoney's locations near me are.
Well.
No.
All right. Well, you need to Google what the strawberry pie looks like because it is just.
Oh, I see it right now.
It's kind of trashy, and it's so good. But he made one from scratch, so we had that.
I made shortcakes.
I know.
Oh my God!
With all the strawberries.
Like a homemade.
I don't know.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. And so we had folks over last night just to kind of. We also had so Katie was one of our neighbors. She has moved, but they're. the new neighbors are moving in next week, and so we had them over as well. So it was kind of like, all right, let's just all just kind of be together.
Why
and
not?
yeah, it
There's
was
nothing
wonderful.
like community.
I know. We
especially
also
times
had
like
like
this.
a guest in town who was taking making good use of the hotel Duff Dye was going on. She came in
Boy.
for our wedding.
When I was your age, I had a lot of guests too.
Yeah, but this one, I was like, so she is do you have these people that are like just chaotic humans in your world? Like, not necessarily like
Yes.
they're there to do bad. They're just like
yes.
kind of like
Yes.
spur of the moment, a little kooky, and like this is somebody who was like, and she's such a penny pincher. Like she's always worried about money, and she's the kind of person who will drive like 50 miles to save 20 cents on gas or whatever, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there, are you nodding your head because that's you?
Not me.
No, okay.
But I know others.
Yeah, just some people who.
Some of them are listening right now, so I
Well,
can't mention any names.
Oh, all right. All right, well, she's just a kooky pants. Like, she's always up for an adventure, and she's like super duper fun. But she decided last minute to come to this wedding. She's like, "I'm coming to the wedding, and I found a plane ticket that it was." I said, "If I'm
A
gonna
wedding you weren't going to.
No, we weren't going
Right.
to. There was
But they were going to.
They were going to go to, and she was like, "Yeah, and it was under a certain amount of money, and it was at last minute, so I decided to do it." And I'm like, "Awesome!" I'm like, "Where's the wedding?" She's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Okay, Chicago's really big, so you're not going to have a car. Like, what's going on?" She's like, "Well, I didn't really read the invite." She's like, "I saw the invite and said
Okay, that's kooky.
Saw when and where." I'm like, "No, you saw it when. You did not see where." So all of the like first day events were out in Oak Park. And then
Okay, yeah.
And then the second, I can't even
At least it
remember where
wasn't
the wedding.
Naperville or somewhere.
Well, no, the second one I can't even remember where it was. It was like some park. I'm like, "You don't have a car. Like, how are you gonna?" And like, I was trying so hard to not. This is not my problem.
not a good place
This
for
is
a
not my
penny pincher
problem.
if you have to Uber
I
to
know.
those places
Yeah, I know. So
that are
she was
far.
like, "Dang it!" So she ended up having to Uber a lot. But it was
yes.
wonderful to see her. And
Oh, that's
again,
always fun.
Our gal who's always down for an adventure, and it was great. And
you had guests, and you had dinners.
Had
and you,
guests, oh, yeah,
And
I
there
just
are no
made-
Shoney's in the state of Illinois. The closest one is Henderson, Kentucky, and then Missouri.
oh, okay. Well, there we are.
But
so
I've seen them in my travels.
there we are.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Shoney's was a big part of. Again, the Shoney's Breakfast Bar was my first period English class most of the time my senior year.
Nice. You had that at your disposal.
Well, no, I just didn't go. I would cut class.
Oh. You would stay there?
I would cut class. I wouldn't go. I'd go to there, like wake up and be like, "Oh, let's go to get breakfast," and then we go to school. Rebel.
Did you
I'm
have an
a
open
rebel.
campus when you were?
No.
Yeah, we had an open campus, so we could leave.
Kind of, but not really.
Then they changed it after we were so much havoc that we wreaked during.
Yeah. See,
During-
kids.
yeah, kids today.
They'll do it. Kids today, they'll do it. So yeah. But yeah, and we were, last night was just like churning out different flatbreads. Like here we go. Where I'm game playing and all this.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. But I was really sad, unexpectedly sad. Amber Elle passed away
I
this week.
thought of you right away. I texted you right
Look,
away.
can I
'cause
tell you-
I know how much you loved her.
Yeah, so Chef Amber Elle, she was a host on Food Network, Celebrity Chef. She was the host on like Worst Cooks in America
Yeah.
or something like that. But when I first encountered her, she was the sous chef for Mario Batali on all of like the Iron Chef sort of things. And then in the early 2000s, she had her own show called Secrets of a Restaurant Chef, where she would teach you kind of like fun and a little fancier techniques that like restaurant people did.
Right.
And that, because of her, that's where she got me into the kitchen. I made almost every single thing that she made on that show while I was living in Memphis. And it was like, oh, so she got me
It was a real
in.
primer for you.
It was a real primer. And then when she went on to host like Worst Cooks in America, like her team always won because she was such a really good teacher. I think that it finally came out that she had like some sort of cardiac event. Was why she passed. She was just 55.
I just read that it's being investigated as a possible drug overdose.
Okay, well, yeah,
Which
that
is sad
tracks.
because she was out doing she was getting into stand-up, and she had done stand-up that night
Oh, okay.
and had a great night.
All right. Well, but
I mean, who knows really, but it's just tragic, however
However, it happened. I mean, she's no longer here, so you know. But it was like, what a legacy that she had left. And I was really, really sad. Can I tell you, you were one of multiple people who reached out to me, like, oh my gosh, I know it sounds so silly, but like, celebrity chefs are the ones that I really goofed over.
Didn't we have her on the show?
No.
We just talked about her, I guess.
Probably just talked about her.
Because I know that's when I learned how much you liked her.
Yeah. I love her. Yeah. I love her. She was just really great in a joyful spirit, and her love of food and her love of teaching. Again, she was a really good teacher. So,
rest in peace.
Rest in power, my friend.
Yeah.
My friend.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah,
very
well,
sad.
hey, I guess we should probably take a little break here. But before we do that, this part of Out Chicago is brought to you by Team Hochberg. If you're having trouble keeping up with your bills, it's time to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender, about a fresh start debt consolidation mortgage. Sam, 56, press operator, earning $90,000 a year, living in a $300,000 single-family home with a $150,000 mortgage. Despite having equity in his home, Sam missed his January mortgage payment, which dropped his credit score more than 60 points and prevented him from refinancing until February of the following year. So if Sam called Team Hochberg in December, they could have helped him pay off his debt, avoid missing his mortgage payment, and enhance his credit score. If you're struggling with bills and have equity in your home, call Team Hochberg now. Not tomorrow, next week, not next month, at 855-563-2843. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of WCPT listeners, but they can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. The number again is 855-563-2843 or visit the website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there is more Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
I'm Israel Wright with National Gay and Lesbian Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome back to Out Chicago on WCPT.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, rolling along. Hey, tomorrow on Chu's Views, Richard Chu will be joined by Culver City, California Mayor Dan O'Brien, Sarah Jones, managing editor and co-publisher of Politics USA, and Caitlin Cash, the Austin, Texas mother who joined other plaintiffs in the 2023 Swarovski versus Texas lawsuit, along with Veronica Ingham, Free and Just Senior Director of Campaigns. Choose Views Mondays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m. The Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And also, just to remind you, if you want to chime in on the conversation, but just don't even really feel like talking to us, you can always go to the Credo mobile phone and text line at 773-763-9278. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. There we go.
There you go.
I'm sorry, it's just still too hot. My brain is mush.
Yeah, it's
all that.
It's warm.
Yeah. So did you take the day off on, because I know you don't get, because you're basically like an independent contractor as a realtor. So
yes.
Did you just take the day for the Juneteenth, or were you doing stuff around?
We were just doing stuff around, but our company was closed.
Okay.
For Juneteenth, which I was happy to see.
All right. That's cool.
You know, of course, our dear leader, just instead of commemorating the day in any kind of way at all, put out his typical BS tweets of, we shouldn't have holidays like this. It takes away from the work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
people need to be working. I mean, nothing good to say. If people do not see that this person is a rampant racist, I don't know
how the
how
whole
they can
administration. Did you see what's her butt? The press lady. What's her name? Caitlin.
Yeah.
I don't know her name. She's blonde.
Oh yeah, when she was answering questions about what the president was going to be doing on Juneteenth.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, I already answered that. We're not doing. We're working. I mean, we're working.
Blatant.
We're working.
Blatant racism. Blatant racism. I'm at the point now where there's no excuse for you to tell me that you support this person because I'm gay. You're looking at somebody, you know, this guy is racist, misogynist, homophobic, every possible negative thing he is. There's nothing good about him, and now he's playing I want to be a warlord today. This is his latest, I'm drunk with power, so here we go.
Yeah.
But it's just sad. I really broke my heart that he didn't even feign that he was going to care about this holiday. Not even feign.
Yeah. Well, he did before, which was weird, and now he's like, nope, we're not doing that.
No,
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah. When I was doing Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez on the 20th, Tanya Richard, who fills in on this show quite often, I had her on as a guest because her new memoir, Black Girl from a White Suburb, Finding My Light, Using My Voice, is coming out. And we talked about that. We talked a lot about racism. We both thought that we both think that Juneteenth shouldn't be a federal holiday because it takes away. I encountered so many people who are like, because I was working, and I encountered so many people who were like, I'm like, I've got the day off. I'm like, great. What are you doing? He's like, oh no, I'm gonna go to the beach. And to every one of them, I was like, I hope you have a meaningful Juneteenth. People they didn't know what the holiday is. They don't know why they're off, or they're not taking time to look at the holiday. And for me, I personally think that it should be, every black person in this country, regardless of whether you are descendants of enslaved people or not, you should get the day off. Every single one, to get paid time and a half. And white folks, if you want the day off, you need to do community service. I think it should be a day of service along with Martin Luther King Day. I think both of those days, like we do not take, especially white folks. It's like we caused this. There we are. And even to reflect about like what the actual day of Juneteenth is. 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
I know. They're still enslaved.
So yes. So it's one of those things. Well, but it's one of those moments, I think, like when we have these days, we don't have, like, people don't stop and celebrate. I mean, you stopped and celebrated, with folks who were there to celebrate, and that's the thing.
We sang together as a group.
Singing together as a group. That is what I think that's wonderful and amazing. But there's so many people who are just like, whatever, I get a free day off. It's like, okay, well, maybe you should like watch a movie or at least, or read a book or something. But that's the part that gets
Scott,
me down.
If people did that, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in today.
Oh, well, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. But people don't read. But yeah. Any hoozles. Hey, there's something good that is happening that's coming up this weekend. No, actually on the 26th at the Chicago AIDS Garden.
Yeah,
it's happening. There's going to be a speaking program will take place in front of the garden's signature piece, that giant 30-foot Keith Haring sculpture, the self-portrait, and it's going to be followed by a dedication of a bronze plaque at the garden entrance to permanently commemorate Greg Harris's support. Yes, support, and the plaque is going to be reading, dedicated to Honorable Greg Harris, Majority Leader for Illinois House of Representatives, who bravely sponsored acts establishing civil unions and legalized same-sex marriages in Illinois. Leader Harris co-founded Open Hand Chicago, providing essential support during a time of fear and stigma. His generous state leadership led to the completion of this AIDS Garden Chicago, one of the first openly gay legislators in Illinois and living with HIV/AIDS since 1988. Harris is a tremendous role model for the community and all public servants living with integrity and courage. His legacy endures in the policies he championed and the lives he touched. So that's going to be happening this Thursday, the 26th, from 9 to 10:30 in the morning, and it's open to the public. And for more information about the event, you can contact info@chicagoparksfoundation.org. And if you haven't been to the Chicago AIDS Garden, you should go check it out.
It's really nice.
It's free. It's down there. And again, it's kind of as we are coming up onto this, into this Pride Week, I think it's a really good reminder, was chatting with Victor Salvo of the Legacy Project. Last week, the June 16th is now officially the Legacy Project Day here in Chicago, with official proclamation from the mayor.
Very nice.
And we were talking about the origins of the Legacy Project, which is, of course, if you're not familiar, the Legacy Project is a cultural and educational nonprofit that focuses on the contributions of LGBTQ folks to history. And I always forget this, that the idea was sparked in 1987 at the March on Chicago during the AIDS crisis. Oh. And
I forgot the origins.
And they were saying, they were folks who weren't around for that just don't really understand how bad it was and how many people were just dying. And Victor was there, and he was like, who's going to tell our stories? Who's going to tell our history? And that was where it all began. And I think it's so important, especially right now, as history is being rewritten, as history is being erased in some capacities, that now more than ever, it is really important to make sure that we tell our stories.
Yes, indeed. It's, I'm glad something positive came out of what was, as you said, just a horrible time for those that were here, for those that experienced the loss of dear ones. And HIV/AIDS changed everything. Yeah,
like the way it galvanized our community. It kind of brought it, because we were kind of separated to boys and girls, and we're boys in one camp, girls in one camp. Everybody else who was in between and above and beyond were in another camp. Like, it kind of brought us all together, thanks to the lesbians. A lot right there. But it also changed the healthcare system, insurance, the economics, like pharmaceutical company. It changed everything. It was a big thing. And again, we need
hard fought too for.
Well, and
for
we need to learn
things.
that that we need to. You can't forget it. You can't forget what's going on.
Can't forget the past. You'll be doomed to repeat it, as they say.
Yes. So, but in some not as great news, the Trump administration has instructed a national suicide prevention hotline to stop offering specialized services to LGBTQ callers next month, saying that those callers can rely on just the hotline's general services. Now, in their little statement where they are getting rid of this, it affects the Trevor Project particularly with their 988 line. They said that they are relieving the LGBTQ services. They
took the T out.
They took the T out there. Again, talking about erasure. You cannot erase an entire group of people that exists.
As hard as they try.
But that was just a big slap in the face. Sure. But like the Trevor Project, which, if you aren't familiar, they are a nonprofit that has provided the specific specialized support for LGBTQ callers to the 988 suicide prevention hotline. They said on Wednesday that they had received a stop work order that for that particular service, effective July 17th. Basically, it's the Press 3 service is what they call it. So if when someone calls the National Suicide Hotline, you had the option to speak to somebody who is familiar with LGBTQ mental health care. That is now gone. Now, a lot of people are saying people are still going to be getting, the general health care. They're still going to be having these services. But if a veteran calls, wouldn't it be great for a veteran to speak to somebody who is very, very familiar with the issues that veterans go through, PTSD, et cetera? If any other group being able to call in somebody who knows exactly what is going on in your world, a part of that community, it's always going to be official. Now, the White House Office of Management and Budget, they previously described the hotline's LGBTQ section as quote, a chat service where children are encouraged to embrace radical gender ideology by, quote, counselors without consent or knowledge of their parents, unquote.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So again, their go-to thing is grooming, which is tired and tedious and over it and wrong and everything. So yeah, they said that's what this is all about. It's all about grooming, basically. Just so folks know, the Trevor Project's crisis services saw a 33% increase in calls and messages on the day of Trump's inauguration compared to the weeks prior. Volume went up 46% the next day in comparison to typical daily rates. And this followed a record-breaking 700% increase observed across the Trevor Project crisis lines on November 6th, the day after the presidential election. So, yeah, I think that's a big thing.
It doesn't surprise me. The cruelty continues, the tone-deaf cruelty of this administration. It's just, every time you turn around, there's something else horrible that they've done, and this is one of them.
And in the meantime, they're just
mean and cruel.
They're just gonna go and drop some bombs.
Big guys.
Yeah, great.
Big tough guys.
All right. Well, on that happy news.
On that happy news,
why don't we?
move on to
But I
something
think
more
here's the
happy after
thing.
this.
No,
Yes.
but here's the thing. It's actually going to lead us perfectly into this. We're talking about the AIDS Guard in Chicago.
Yeah.
We're talking about activism. We're talking about Trevor Project, who has been out there. They're behind the It Gets Better Project movement that was happening there. We're talking about people who are activists who are working towards our community. And coming up after this break, we're going to be speaking with Jack Schneider from the Museum of Contemporary Art. They're opening a brand new exhibit called City and a Garden, Queer Art and Activism in Chicago. So I couldn't think of a more exciting way to launch us into Pride Week. So stick around. You are listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
Welcome back. I'm improviser Matthew Van Colden. You're listening to Out Chicago on WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, just rolling along here. And the Museum of Contemporary Art Chicago is opening a new exhibit, City in a Garden, Queer Art and Activism in Chicago. It's an intergenerational group exhibition that highlights Chicago's essential yet often under-acknowledged role in the story of queer art and activism. And joining us now is assistant curator for the MCA and curator for the exhibit, Jack Schneider. Jack, welcome to the show.
Hi, Scott. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited about this exhibit. The MCA always does such brilliant work when it comes to curating these special exhibits. Where did this idea come from?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I think for me, in my research on queer art and activism, I noticed a gap in the scholarship, specifically a spatial gap. I'd say at least in the United States, sort of to read existing accounts of queer art history and the history of queer activism is essentially to read about what happened in New York City and San Francisco. So really, the goal of this exhibition is to broaden the scope of this scholarship beyond, or rather between these coastal queer meccas by looking at what happened here in Chicago. So that was kind of the inspiration for the show, is filling this, what I see as a gap in scholarship.
Mm-hmm. And with your research, what did you find? I mean, I'm sure it's now going to be on display July 5th at the Museum of Contemporary Art. but what was your finding? Because you are absolutely correct. When it comes to the history of queer activism, the focus is always on the coast. It's on New York, as you said, New York and San Francisco. Right. And Chicago had a very vibrant counterculture activist scene.
Absolutely, and I found a lot. The exhibition ended up having, I think it's 35 different artists, artist collectives, and activist groups featured in it. And I've said really one of the most difficult things about putting the show together was narrowing down that list of artists. I think the fact that the show probably could have been at least twice the scale is really a testament to how vibrant the history of queer art is in Chicago and queer activism as well.
So what kind of criteria did you use to narrow it down from all the works and all the artists that you were curating?
That's a really good question. I mean, of course, the focus is that it's Chicago artists or artists making work about Chicago. So that was a really important criteria to stick with. And apart from that, I mean, it was important to have a variety of work in the show. So, of course, there's traditional media like painting, sculpture, but we also have some performance work by Brendan Fernandez, photography, video, ephemera related to activist groups like ACT UP Chicago. So, yeah, variety was definitely a criteria, and I see that in the show.
Excellent.
Yeah. So as you were putting together, like one of the best things about going to the Museum of Contemporary Art is you get a window, you get a different perspective on history, or a different entryway into it. You know, because all of the pieces that are there have a beautiful, description about what's going on, and the meanings and motives behind, or techniques behind the piece. Who are some of the features? I'm really excited that you've got Nick Cave coming. At least one of the sound suits going on. That Nick Cave exhibit.
Yeah, that was great.
We had him on the show when it was there. It blew my mind. I went about 4 times. I have a feeling I'm probably going to go to City in a Garden, Queer Art and Activism in Chicago at least 5 times. Especially as
let me know when you want to come by.
100%. I'll give you a call. We'll go on through together. Nothing makes me happier than going through an exhibit with a curator. I was fortunate enough. Anyway, we'll talk about that later when we go through. But who are some of the different artists that you're going to be that we're going to be a part of City in a Garden, Queer Art and Activism in Chicago at the MCA?
Sure. Yeah. So you mentioned Nick Cave, which we're really excited, and I had the honor of working with Nick on that show. So I'm really excited to work with him again. But another artist I'm really excited to feature is Doug Ishar, who's a photographer, and we're showing a series of photos he created called Marginal Waters, and he shot these in 1985 at the Belmont Rocks.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Belmont Rocks.
Oh, yeah.
But if you some of our listeners might not be.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. But the Belmont Rocks were essentially, it was Chicago's de facto gay beach, before we had Hollywood Beach, sort of like a municipally sanctioned gay beach like we do now. The Belmont Rocks were essentially, it was like a set of limestone slabs along the lakefront or near Belmont Avenue that queer people just sort of collectively claimed as their beach. And, it wasn't really a real beach.
Right.
It was just rocks along the beach. So it was really special, and I think Doug's photographs of it capture it so beautifully. And I think what's really remarkable about them is that they were taken in 1985, so this is sort of, right in the middle of the AIDS crisis. And you wouldn't necessarily know it by looking at Doug's photos because they're so leisurely, they're so romantic, but sort of beyond the sort of surface level of serenity that you see in these photographs, this crisis, this epidemic is ravaging this community. So it's really beautiful, really poignant to see, queer people amidst this really, really dark time, just experiencing leisure and living their lives.
And finding joy, that is one of those things right now where, trying to find the joy where you can, in the midst of this hellscape that we're all going through,
Yep, absolutely. And I hope that this exhibition can kind of provide some of that. I think overall, it's dealing with some dark subject matter like the AIDS crisis, like, the history of oppression that queer people have faced. But I think, and this kind of gets to the title of the show, City in a Garden, which is Chicago's official motto is Urbs in Horto, which translates from Latin to City in a Garden. And I titled it that because, well, apart from that motto, I feel like already being a little bit gay.
Yes.
Apart from that, I think that it really speaks to the exhibited artists and activists, like utopian visions of Chicago as this metropolitan sanctuary for not just queer people, but anybody who doesn't really, fit the normative mold of the places they came from.
And so I think it's out of all of the research that you were doing, because again, there was like historical research and then finding the artists. And has there been any sort of like uniting theme that made like Chicago's art and activism scene just unique to Chicago, aside from locations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one thing that one thing that makes Chicago's art scene, I'd say, unique is its focus on community and collaboration. This goes for the queer art scene. It goes, I think, for the art scene in general, which is that, compared to the sort of larger cities of New York and LA, the larger kind of art centers in the country, where there's like a ton of people, there's a lot of competition. I think what makes Chicago unique is actually that all the artists, the gallerists, the people that work in museums, they're all very supportive of one another.
Yeah. And I think that actually crosses over between other artistic disciplines within this city. Theater,
comedy,
music, comedy.
Yeah.
There is something about, like, we are the collaboration city. We are the ensemble city.
For sure.
Which I think is just fascinating, that it would also pick up with something that seems so personal and solitary as creating art, like visual artwork. I'm so excited about this. I can't wait. Was there anything that you discovered that was just kind of surprising to you, or any artists that you were, because you had 35 artists. How many people are now included in the exhibit?
So it's 35 artists, collectives, and activist groups. So if you were to count all the individuals that are in these, activist groups and artist collectives, it's many more than 35.
Right.
Like, for example, we have an installation related to a group called Pilot TV. And this was a group of artists, I think about 30 artists, that came together in 2004 and transformed a 3-story building in Bridgeport into what they called a temporary autonomous television studio. And over the course of a weekend, they put out a call for participation for people to come to this, ad hoc TV studio to produce like queer media. And I think over 200 people answered the call for participation and on this strange building in Bridgeport and produced dozens and dozens of art videos. There's a lot of people featured in the show. I really wish, as I said before, I think, this is a partial survey, and like partial part is very important to point out. This is not comprehensive. This is like a taste of really what this vibrant scene is in Chicago.
Yes, well, hopefully we can do City in a Garden Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Because clearly we've got the work and the artists here. And another piece that's really, really great about the MCA, there's always an additional programming that's connected to the exhibit. I know there's like Queen is going to be there for a big dance party at some point in July. Can you say, is there other little moments that are going to be associated to enhance your experience at City in a Garden Queer Art and Activism in Chicago?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just expand a little bit on the Queen event that we're planning.
We're kind of up against a hard break, so can you just kind of give us the bullet points?
Yeah. Thanks, Jack.
Queen, July 18th. We're going to have an artist talk, an artist panel in fall, and there's going to be more programming announced.
We love it. So if you want to find out more information, go to mcachicago.org. Don't miss out. City in a Garden, Queer Art and Activism in Chicago. It's going to be opening at the Museum of Contemporary Art, Chicago, on July 5th. Jack Schneider, congratulations. I cannot wait for this.
Thank you.
And
thank you so much for having me on the show.
Of course. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the second hour about Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
Welcome back to the second hour of Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, just kind of rolling along on a steamy, sultry first day, Sunday of summer kind of vibe.
It's toasty, baby.
Because you're a lizard person.
I did a 3-mile walk in it yesterday.
On purpose?
Yes. Fitness walk.
Really? I was out there just watering the plants, and I'm like, I got to sit down.
Yeah, I
And
did.
so did you hydrate a lot?
I took a bottle of water with me and drank a lot of it
There
during
we
the
are.
walk.
You got to replenish those electrolytes
Yes,
and everything.
must.
Yeah, because it's hot. And again, just a reminder, the Cook County and Chicago, they've opened 250 cooling centers. So if you're feeling the effects, try to get to one of those. They're all over the city. Just Google Chicago cooling centers.
Yes, and
They're
you'll get
open
all the
today.
info you
You'll get
need
all the
and
info and
place
find
to
the
go
one that's
cool off.
nearest you.
Because a lot of people, some of us take it for granted that everybody has air conditioning, and they don't.
They don't. Most of the great Chicago apartment buildings don't. You
No.
got to get a window unit.
Yep, and they don't always work so
No,
good.
I had a window unit and it got stolen
Out of the
years
window?
ago. Out of the window.
What?
I was on the ground floor.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they came in they took my window unit and they took my bike. It was awful.
I'm sorry.
I know, major bummer. But there we go. Anyway, that was years ago.
That was years ago.
That was years ago. That was
toughened you up
that's
for
now.
the big city.
Yeah, there we are. Hey, we've got a great second hour lined up
Yes,
for you.
indeed.
A little bit later on, we've got comedians Manny Petty and Queenie. They are the twisted brains behind Thirst Trap Salon, which is going to be the Pride edition of the show is going to be featured at Zany's Old Town on June 26th. Oh, and I also just want to remind you that Monday on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest co-host Dan Schaefer. And their guests are Dr. Kristen Lyerly, an OBGYN, comedian Tamale Sepp. She's going to be back in the parade.
Oh, I haven't seen Tamale in many years.
Well, she's on the road. We're also going to be talking to the Second City Outlaws and political and community activist Richard Streetman. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m., the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Right now, I'm very excited about our next guest because to celebrate Pride this month, About Face Theater, Chicago's premier LGBTQ theater company, is presenting Om Mission, a spellbinding and joyful journey through stories, music, and ritual to amplify the lives and legacies of Black lesbians. And joining us now are the show's creators and performers, Zara Baker and Shanta Nirula. Zara and Shanta, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. How are y'all doing? You opened on Friday. How is it going?
Oh, it's going great. We had sold out the opening night, and the audience was so warm and loving and receptive. It was a great night.
Yeah, well, Megan Carney, the artistic director of About Face Theater, was posting on social media that it felt like a night at Paris Dance, which I
the old
could
days.
not think of a better compliment than to create a vibe like that. So congratulations. Zara, let's start with you. How did the piece come about?
Hey, Scott.
Hey, love. Zara and I go way back. Yes. Way back. When Jesus was in diapers, as Jerry would say.
And well, it actually started when About Face asked us to go to the Stony Island Arts Bank. This was right at the turn of at the beginning of the pandemic, actually, and we were asked to create a 20-minute theater piece based on going to the Stony Island Arts Bank to find a queer story.
Can you tell our listeners what the Stony Island Arts Bank is?
Yeah.
Shanta.
Shanta, pick it up.
It's on you, Shanta.
Well, the Stony Island Arts Bank is a project of artist, entrepreneur Theaster Gates, and it was formerly a bank on Stony Island that he has turned into an art center. So it's a gallery with rotating art exhibits. It has a cocktail bar, and it is the now the home of the Johnson Publishing collection. So it's a library of all the books that were in the Johnson Publishing headquarters, as well as the digital collection of the Ebony and Jet magazine digitized versions of Ebony and Jet magazine. It has the glass slide collection from the Oriental Institute, the Frankie Knuckles album collection. It's a fabulous place. They have dance parties there, concerts, lots of different wonderful things.
And is it
a great place to go?
Is it open to the public on a regular basis, or is it just specific hours?
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, specific hours, specific events, but it's open a lot.
Okay. All right.
So everybody should go check it out. So sorry. Just wanted to give a little context. So Zara, take us back. It is the beginning of the pandemic. Here you are, charged with a 20-minute piece.
There we are.
There you are. Go.
Yes. And so I don't want to reveal too much of the show, but we found a piece in the Ebony archives about Gladys Bentley, who was a blues singer during the Harlem Renaissance. And her article was entitled, "I'm a Woman Again." And really that was, we've been told later that there may have been some other lesbian articles in Ebony, but that was the only one that we found.
Yeah.
And it was actually a renouncement of her gay life.
Oh, so out of all of the archives, you found one,
And it was
like, guess what? No, nope, just kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those years that I was dressing in drag.
Right. So what was your response to this like dearth of stories of about the lives and legacies of Black lesbians?
Yeah, so that's actually, the name of the show is On Mission, because the recognizing of how much they had missed by not having our stories, by omitting us, and by us not having a positive presence. And our desire in particular was not to become a victim, but to turn it around, to visualize what is it that we really want. And what we want is to live in a world where people are able to open their hearts and not only accept, but embrace each of us for the gifts that we bring into the world. So thus the title Om, meaning let's go deep inside our hearts, and that would be our mission and desire.
I love that. It's an incredible title.
Do you think things have changed among the Black lesbian community, let's say here in the southwest sides of Chicago? Or do you still think that there's a stigma that so many Black women are facing and that still are afraid to come out?
Well, I think
things have gotten better. But, there's greater acceptance among the Black community, but it's not perfect.
No.
Yeah,
a few things are.
There are still obviously a lot of church communities that are sticking to their guns.
Yeah.
But then there are also a lot of people who are open, and actually some of that is coming from their family members coming out and them making a choice to embrace them as opposed to shun them. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, I feel like we both feel like the younger generation is really moving things forward in normalizing their right to be as they are.
Yeah, I think that is making a difference in all communities. I know some older African American women who are in the arts that are still closeted, and it breaks my heart. But I'm trying to understand from where they come from. I maybe seeing a show like this or embracing what the young people are doing can help. But it's just it's always sad for me to see people, obviously, that are performers that are not being their authentic selves. But again, I'm not in their shoes, so I try not to judge.
Exactly. But we hope they'll come to the show. If they can be brave enough to step into the door, I think that it will be enlightening.
Well,
I think so
of course,
too.
look,
Yeah.
if you have never seen Zara and Shanta perform, it will be enlightening and it will be entertaining. Like, I will tell you, Zara and Shanta, there is a pure joy of collaboration with the two of you, in life and on stage. So, yes, Coy, I can hear the smiles through the phone right here. But as
we're having a good time. We're really loving this. It's like an extension of our home.
Yeah.
With an audience.
Yeah. So as you're when you were creating a piece like Omission that does combine so many different disciplines that both of you just excel at in terms of music and the storytelling, and I'm particularly interested in the idea of ritual that is going through. How where do you what was the kernel or that moment that kind of cracked everything open as you were creating Omission, which is now running at the Den Theater, presented by About Face Theater?
Well, I guess there has been a couple of cracks, Scott. Each iteration opens it up a little more. Like we said, the first one was supposed to be a theater piece, but because of the pandemic, it ended up having to be a short film that was a 20-minute film where we decided to interview a number of our Black lesbian peers and get their perspective, and basically build a sound collage and created a piece that was about Gladys, but also about our peers. Mm-hmm. So that was the first. But this piece in particular, being asked to expand it into a hour and a half staged performance. I remember there was one day when we were sharing stories and really trying to. Our director, Keziah Waters, who was amazing, worked with us. They call themselves our midwife in the creation process.
Yeah, as you're it feels like giving birth when you create something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So they worked with us every Friday to listen to the stories and the ideas that we had and throw back questions and ideas for us to consider. And through that process, one day I was on my way out the door and Shanta just threw this question at me of, what's the point? And left. And I was on my way out until I pondered it for a couple of days. And I really think that was kind of the beginning of where the crack was in answering that question of what's the point. Mm-hmm. And what came to mind for me was that what if there had been a positive, what if that Gladys' story had not been the only article about lesbian life? What if there had been a proud lesbian story? Mm-hmm. So that's what cracked it. Then it was like, what if it had been our story? Mm-hmm. So then it actually centered Gladys, but also gave us a way to rock back and forth with our between her life and our life.
Amazing. And Sean, so are y'all talking about your lives in particular, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we get quite personal, which was really challenging for me because I'm used to mostly telling, folk tales and historical tales, and have shied away from personal stories, except as anecdotes that I use to introduce other stories. So I had to dig deep and be willing to just be totally open about different aspects of my life.
How hard was that for you?
I tried to back out a couple of times.
Oh, okay, that hard. Oh, no. That hard.
Oh no! But
including opening night.
Oh no!
But how did it feel once you were able to do it? Was it freeing?
Well, so the jury is still out on that.
Okay. I'm sure you did great.
Opening night, my adult son came into town from California as a surprise, and my son and daughter were both in the audience, and I'm talking about my failed marriage to their father, right?
Right.
And that was really challenging.
Yeah.
But I worked my way through it.
Hey, the only way out is through.
And I'm sure they were very loving about all of it. So.
That's just amazing. So, Shanta, I just want to make you squirm a little bit more. Sorry, but as you were taking this journey about like, okay, I'm sharing these personal stories, and this is like, what have you learned about your either like your resilience or like what have you learned through sharing such personal things that you haven't necessarily shared before in your work?
Well, more than that, what this process has really opened me up, and I'm kind of rigid in certain ways about. I'm rigid about the spontaneity of storytelling. Yeah, if that makes any sense.
It totally does.
And I was resistant to the rehearsal process and having to repeat things over and over again during rehearsal. Right? and like I didn't want to write my stories out word for word, and have to tell them the same way every time.
Yeah, like we've got a light cue here, though.
Right.
Well, and then of course you have Zara there to lean back on and to be your support, and vice versa, as the two of you, to hold each other up, lift each other up as you lift up these stories and lift up the audience to share these stories. Before we let you go, what do you hope audiences take away when they see Om Mission, which is presented by About Face Theater at the Den and playing at the Den Theater through June 28th?
Shanta? Oh, gosh. I was getting ready to throw it back to you, Zara, but...
Maybe we should go back to Zara. Just put her on Zara, you're on the hot seat. What do you hope people take away?
Well, love.
Mm-hmm.
Pure love.
Okay.
Really, that's what... and I think it's that there's something so powerful about... I remember someone saying, I was in a workshop where they were asking you to do a meditation and then share what visions you saw. And what they were saying was that even if it doesn't seem like it, something that you're saying may be a message for someone else. It may touch someone's heart. It may open them up to know that we're not alone. Mm-hmm. And I hope that by us being vulnerable and our audience is hearing our stories, that they feel connected to each other and take care of ourselves and each other, and that our hearts expand just a little bit more.
Well, knowing you, I know that the audiences cannot miss the love that is just going to be emanating from the stage. Friends, do not miss Om Mission, created and performed by Zara Baker and Shanta Narula, presented by About Face Theater. It's playing at the Den Theater. It's a real short run. It's going to just run through June 28th. For tickets, go to aboutfacetheater.com, and that's theater with an R-E because we're fancy that way. Shanta Narula and Zara Baker, we real cool. And thank you so much for
Thank you so much
for taking time out today. Cannot wait to be there next week. And kill it today. Have a fabulous matinee.
All right.
Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
All right. We've got to take a quick break. And when we come back, oh gosh, we need a laugh. So fortunately, we got a couple of comics coming on in here. Manny Petty and Queenie are going to be in studio. So stick around. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
Hi, my name is Amy Sumter. I'm a comedian as well as She's Crafty, and you are listening to Out Chicago.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, rolling it wrong. Hey, just want to remind you that the Chicago Pride Parade is next Sunday, June 29th. If you can't attend, you can listen live to WCPT, as Ellen and I describe in great detail, granular detail, like look, the tissue paper right here. There we are, the clacking of the things. We've got special guests Ken Mejia Beal, Robert Cornelius, Kathy Richardson. I think Sweetie coming.
Sweetie will be hanging out, hopefully.
She'll be hanging out. I think Bunny will be hanging out. That's what I call Jerry. Yeah, it's going to be a big old hoot nanny.
Yeah.
From 11 to 2. The WCPT Live Pride Parade broadcast is sponsored by Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet.
Yes, indeed.
I love that. People and planet. WCPT is your pride station in Chicago. Get all the details at heartlandsignal.com/WCPT Pride. There we go. And if you want to get really festive and get into the mood of a full pride that's coming up there, girl, we know we all need a laugh. We got some showgirls moves happening in the studio right now. This Thursday, the 26th, head out to Zany's Old Town for the Pride edition of A Thirst Trap Salon. And joining us now are comedians Manny Petty and Koini. Hello. Welcome back.
We're so excited to be back.
I know. I love it when queers come in here because you just smell so good. Yeah. That was like my friends, like parents in college. They were always like, your friends always like dress so nicely and they smell good too.
I smell like Zima.
Well, people don't realize that self-care is actually very gay.
Right, I know.
So
I love that. Come on, gayness. So how are y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Yeah, busy, having fun. Queen and I were just in Sheboygan, Wisconsin last night doing a show.
Sheboygan. There used to be a gay bar in town. Is that still there?
This was not a gay bar.
We have no idea. We went in for the show and we left right after.
Oh, okay. What was the vibe like in Sheboygan?
They were very nice. They were cool.
Yeah, they were really nice.
Where was it held?
It was a place called Hop Haven.
Okay.
But they had like a little room off on the side from it that they had us in. And yeah, it was fun.
Well attended?
Yeah, it was fine.
It was good enough.
No, it was a pride show, and there was only one queer couple in the whole audience, and everybody else was straight. And Queenie asked them, they're like, "Were you guys
tricked?
Were you tricked?"
They laughed.
They were wonderful. They were a great audience.
I love that. Did you bring Chicago comics with you up there? Or was it
so
locals?
they had booked me for the headlining, and I said, okay, well then we need Manny Petty.
Of course.
So that just kind of worked out well. So it was the two of us, and then I think the other two were from Milwaukee.
Yeah. Oh, great. I love that Midwest queer pride.
Exactly.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Here. So what's going on with the on the lineup for Zany's Old Town?
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun. We had so much fun having you last year. It was so great. It was so much fun. It was sold out last year, and we're hoping to do it again.
I'm sure it will be again.
Yeah, we're so excited. It's a whole new lineup this year.
Yeah.
We have some really good hard hitters. We have Sean Banks and Claire Sunby, who are regulars at the Laugh Factory. Both super funny.
Yep.
We got KJ Whitehead, super hilarious comedian. I just did a show with her at Dorothy's downstairs. Have you been to Dorothy's?
Not yet.
Not, no.
It is a sapphic,
lounge. Yeah, I
like
love
queer
it.
women bar. Everybody's very young, which is great, and
That's
they're
why I
super
haven't
nice.
been there yet.
It's like, ew, young people.
No, I love them, but I don't want to scare them.
Yeah, I was trying to be a wingmanny for one of my lesbian friends, and I took her there, and we're like, we are double the age of everybody in here.
A wingmanny.
But I'm glad that they have a place to go because we know women's spaces are hard to come by.
It's a beautiful bar. Everybody's super nice. The bartenders are great.
Oh.
And I think our good buddy Whit Chitwood is hosting another lesbian movie bingo night there for her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fun.
That's part of the thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
they take bingo, like lesbian movie tropes, and like when you watch, you get it. Anyway, sorry. So,
Okay, I'm sorry. I was going on.
No, it's okay.
We have Ron Popp, who was a finalist in the Queer New York Comedy Festival.
love him. He's amazing.
Ron Popp's amazing.
Sam Rocha.
Who was in Thirst Trap last year. She's just blown up. She's the producer of the Sashay show at the Laugh Factory. Super great.
She's a special coming out. She's filming over at the Lincoln Lodge soon. So
all right.
it's really
Come
good
on
to
now.
get her on.
All right.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's going to be a fun lineup. And you're hosting.
I'll
Queenie.
host again this year. Yes. So
fabulous. And then
I'm always happy to host at Zany's.
Queen is an amazing host. Yeah, does a great job. Sets the vibe. Is really catty up front and gets everyone into
as catty as possible. Really.
There. So, you know what I like to do a little check-in because truthfully, I've kind of like, you know what, I think I've taken a pause with the oldie stand-up, and you know, just to kind of reset because personally, I'm too mad and I'm too sad to get up there.
I get it
right now. But I'd like to take the pulse.
Yeah.
How do you feel like the state of queer people in comedy, not queer comedy, but queer folks in comedy?
I mean, I think overall doing well. I think they're starting to get their stride a little bit more, you know, because I mean, there was a while, because I know when I first started, it was like what you, Matt Brown, and like Beckett Kenny were the only ones that I really knew who were out and performing regularly. And then when we came back from the pandemic, all of a sudden there were 70 of us.
Yeah.
So it was
really,
like,
oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. It really does feel, because like, especially like my Instagram is like just filled with like these queer comics. I'm like, where were you?
Who are you? What are you doing? That's interesting.
Doing that. Yeah.
But like, so then for a while, I felt like all the queer shows were just, it was a bunch of people who were very new just because they were.
Yeah.
Right. But now those people are starting to get seasoned, and like little by little, it's getting better and better. So, I mean, I think they're having fun. They're making their own places, their own shows, their own like concepts. So it's getting better.
All right. I love that. Yeah. And so, Manny, your Thirst Trap Salon is basically your brainchild.
Yeah, it's my brainchild, originally done at the Newport Theater.
Tumor.
Gout. It's my gout.
Yeah, we'll decide after the show which one it is.
I'm a little excited to clear that right up. So, but for folks who've never been to the Thirst Trap Salon, how would you describe the vibe of the show?
The vibe is obviously they're all just killer comedians that happen to be LGBTQ plus. And there's musical elements to it. There's audience interaction. And I know the wait staff was just super excited to have us last year. They said, it was so great to have this lineup with so many comics not talking about their male genitals. It was great.
Right.
Or at least with an interesting take on it.
More interesting than the time. And better tippers, I'm sure.
Yes, of course.
Well, if you're just tuning in, we're chatting with comedians Manny Petty and Queenie. They are being a part of Thirst Trap Salon at Zany's Old Town on Thursday, the 26th, right here. But there's other stuff that you guys got other little things in the fire.
I got a big project coming up in August.
Tell us about it.
The Windy City Comedy Festival.
Yeah, so
what is this?
One of 4 producers of the Windy City Comedy Fest, the founder, Ariel Julie, essentially our COO, which is Rebecca Schwab, and then Claire Parlett, who is just a amazing individual who is just she's a workhorse, but she's also just a light within the scene. We are creating workshops, we're creating panels and all kinds of things to educate the new generation coming in, because there's a lot of people who are just kind of running shows and no one really showed them how to do it. So we're going to have workshops to kind of help just make people better within the scene. But the goal of it is essentially to make a more sustainable Chicago, so that people stop leaving to go to Austin or LA or New York.
Right.
You know, because there's not really a kingmaker show within the city. So we're trying to make something, like build something here rather than just leave and go somewhere else.
Good.
You know,
we need that.
because we don't want to leave. Chicago's fun.
Yeah.
It's a really good time.
That's like that. There's only so far you can go here, and then it's like you gotta.
But everyone gets good. You know, you have Tina Fey started here. You have all these huge names started in Chicago, but now they're in other markets and no one remembers that they started in Chicago, and it's just because it's not as sustainable here as it should be.
100%.
Mateo Lane, you know,
Rachel Dratch.
People are just blowing up right now. Yeah.
Well, especially I pick up Joel Kim Booster and Mateo because I'm like, you've got 2 queer comics.
And I met Joel Kim Booster and I said hey to him at one point, and he was telling me, "Is like I started in Chicago. That's the best city to start in. This is absolutely amazing."
He was on my show at Laugh Factory all the time, and you know, talking about crimping and curling his My Little Pony. You know, but it's great. And then, so with the Windy City Comedy Festival, is that going to be? Will there be like a performance aspect to it, or is this basically for folks in Chicago who are comics.
So
and who are,
we have 50 participants,
Okay.
right? We had 482 applications.
Wow, that's fantastic.
First year, right? So more than we thought we were going to get. And we were going to do 100, but then we were like, you know what? Let's narrow it down to just the best of the best.
Let's make it really good.
Right. And then it gives everyone a few more shows that they can do. So it's more worth it for them to travel from wherever they're coming from. But yeah, we have 22 shows. We're going to be at Laugh Factory. We're going to be at the I.O. We're going to be at the Annoyance, Lincoln Lodge. We're at Lincoln Hall.
All the best spots for
Second
comedy,
City. You
yeah.
know, so we're going to be all over the place with it. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
When is
We
that
got
coming up?
headliners. It's August 7th through
look
the
at that.
10th. Obviously, I'm wearing the T-shirt.
So to find us on YouTube, right there.
Yeah, but we're on Instagram, so you can find us there. WindyCityComedyFest.com if you want to look it up. All the tickets are on sale currently, but it's going to be some of the best of Chicago with some of the best from all around the country as well. So and this is just year one.
And I'm glad you're spreading it out. You know,
Yeah.
not everything has to happen during Pride Month. Let's keep
Right.
it going
Yes,
all year
please.
round.
Yeah, but this isn't necessarily just queer.
No, it's not. It's
comics, yeah.
it's us just. So it was literally me and Ariel sitting in her car, and she's like, "We don't have a festival here," because she's done a lot of festivals around the country, and she's like, "That's one thing that we're really missing, and it really helps a lot of these other scenes build." And she's like, I think I can do it. And I just looked at her and I was like, if anyone can do it, it is you. And then like months later, she's like, do you want to help me do this thing? and now it's like we have the people together. We're talking to the industry. We got sponsors. We're going, like we got New Era. We have for dispensary. We got Malort and CH Distillery. They're going to be coming in with a Malort Wheel of Death. So it's going to be so much fun. We have after parties every night. So it's going to be a good time.
And what percentage are LGBTQ, would you say?
No idea. I would say like we have quite a fair amount of them, but it wasn't a criteria.
Okay, so
like we literally, I told everyone is like we are doing this based off of the clip.
Okay.
Like whatever you send, like even if I
it.
knew people, I was like I have to judge based on the clip.
Yeah,
because there's people from out of town. I don't know their reputation, so it has to be fair.
Right.
Good for
Amazing.
you.
Yeah,
love it. Back on
What an
in a
undertaking.
couple weeks just to talk about it some more.
We'll bring Ariel. She'll
I'm
have a
totally
lot to say.
fascinated about that. Manny, you've got a special coming out.
I
too.
do. I have a special coming out. I recorded it at the Comedy Bar downtown. Beautiful venue. And the special is called The Pink Man Cave.
Okay.
And naturally,
It's based off of his house. If you've ever
it's
seen
based off of my house. My house looks like Pee Wee's Playhouse.
I love it.
It's hilarious. So it's a big man cave. And, I recorded the special. It's coming out. I'm so excited about it. But, I think when you think of queer, big household name stand-up comedians, you think of Ellen DeGeneres, you think of Wanda Sykes, you think of, Rosie O'Donnell. I just feel like for some reason, gay male performers have not been able to punch through, right?
I know why.
And it's,
I know why.
Why?
It's because lesbians are fetishized. It's all about misogyny. They're fetishized and thinking it's like, oh, that's hot. Or they're completely neutered and they can't talk about sexy things. But with gay men, people get hung up about what they perceive we do in the bedroom.
yeah.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
Well, yeah, when you
and
hear a
fortunately, we
gay
do have
comic-
people like Mateo Lane and Joel
Yeah, and he's
Booster
got a
are
special out on
he's got
Hulu
a-
now.
yeah.
He's the first one.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
know.
telling what you do in the bedroom.
Yes, and he's
But
very
that's-
upfront.
That is one of those things that I think it's just that simple. I've been saying that for decades.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing, and even with booking, sometimes that happens.
Yep.
But you know what? We're just going to move forward, and we're going to make it happen because it is happening. Mateo Lane's carving the way for
I know,
us.
look, you can't keep us down. You can't keep our community down.
Well, we keep going. The community is only growing.
Right.
So, I mean, what are you going to do?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off to get on my soapbox.
Manny,
because you got a great
stop
special.
talking.
I know.
So the special is going to be available on YouTube, but then eventually it's going to be available on Comedy Bar TV. So Comedy Bar is doing this whole push. They're going to have an exclusive TV channel for all these different specials that they've created.
Fantastic.
From maybe 20 different comedians.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm like the second or third one they're releasing. So it's really exciting. And they wanted to do it during Pride Month because it's the best way to do
that
it.
makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. When does that drop?
28th, so Saturday, the 28th.
Right under the wire. Where's Comedy Bar?
Comedy Bar's in downtown. It's on
Superior
Superior Street, and it's above the Geno's East.
Oh,
So you can
a lot of steps.
So you can eat pizza. It's a lot of stuff, but they have an elevator.
They have an elevator.
They do have an elevator.
Has it been there?
Bring your
Is it newer? Has it been
No, it's
It
better.
used to be on LaSalle back in the day. Yeah, it was on LaSalle, and
There's a lot of steps then too.
Yes.
Like it's LaSalle in Ohio, and
Yeah.
it was still a
Keep in
lot of
shape.
steps, but now
lot
it's
of
in a
steps.
different venue.
And more
it's
steps.
it's a cool
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, I didn't
It's
even
a
know
great
about
space.
it.
yeah, and you can watch comedy. You can order pizza and then spit up the pizza as you're laughing at the comedy.
There
It's
you
great.
go, which
It's
is
so
the
fun.
best way to
Perfect.
do that.
Yeah.
I love spitting up.
I don't have
Nothing's
to waste
hotter than
any.
a baby bird sort of, kind of thing that's going on right now. Hey, we got to take a break. Can you guys stick around?
Of course.
Fabulous. But before we do that, if you want to check out Thirst Trap Salon at Zany's Old Town, go to Zany's.com. Is that the best way to get tickets? Great. Go to Zany's.com. It'll pop right up. But stick around. We've got the final thrilling show-stopping moments of Out Chicago right here on WCPT with Queenie and Manny Petty.
Yeah.
So stick around.
Think Theory Radio.
We enter this
Hey everybody, this is Tanya Richard from Tanya's Take, Race Culture and the Culture of Race, and you are listening to Out Chicago, WCPT.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller. We've got our guests, Manny Petty and Queenie, two hilarious comedians who are going to be hosting Thirst Trap Salon, the Pride Edition, at Zany's Old Town on Thursday the 26th. So get your tickets.
Yeah, while you can.
Now, while you can. Hey, and don't forget, you can listen to, rate, and share the Out Chicago full episodes and featured interviews. They're both available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Basically, anywhere you get a podcast, just search for Out Chicago or get the links. And then it's tens across the board. You can only do it fives. You can go for tens.
That makes me want to get a podcast real bad.
Real bad, right? And there we are. Come on, man. Thank you, Jennifer Coolidge. And also, just a reminder, the Chicago Pride Parade is next Sunday. It's going to be our 600th show, which is just cuckoo bananas.
I'll just be walking it.
I know, there we are. Oh, you go walk. So what? So you're going to be walking it in? What
Yeah,
are you-
with the bar My Buddies. So they produce. They're essentially like a sports bar in the front and a gay bar in the back.
And where's that?
It's in Uptown on like I think what is it
Montrose
and Clark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've walked in the last 3 years, so they're a lot of fun.
Well, we'll give you a big shout out.
Yeah.
You gotta-
Remember to look up at the.
Yeah,
when you
look at
go
all
by
the drag
center on
queens
Halsted.
with the signs from My Buddies walking around.
All
I'll be
right.
with them.
Perfect.
Well,
Look forward to
look up and
seeing
wave.
you.
We're going to be on the second floor of the Center on Halstead. Like
Wonderful.
What a
over Whole
perfect
Foods.
place to watch the
It
parade.
is.
Kind
really.
of
You guys are so
amazing.
lucky.
Yeah.
It is kind of the perfect little viewpoint.
Yeah.
What are you doing anything for Pride?
I'm just watching this year. I think there's too much other stuff going on.
Yeah,
So I'm just
you've been
supporting.
running around.
Been running around. I have a show almost every night. I even have a show that night. So I'm at Comedy Bar that night. So I'm just gonna watch the parade and go to Comedy Bar.
And hydrate, man. Literally, not the
Yeah.
bar.
Oh, I thought you said-
Hydrate.
Not the bar.
Hydrate.
Do a set of hydrate.
No. Just like make sure
Yeah,
you're
it's
taking
gonna be
water.
warm.
Because doing I've done a show on Pride. After doing the parade, after talking on the radio, it makes your brain go.
Yeah. Especially if it's hot like it is today.
I know it is. So one of the things that I just want to find out from you all, everybody here in the room. So a lot of people they're talking about the gay agenda, like their things. What is the gay agenda is ruining America, and that's what this Pride Parade is all about. The gay agenda, which apparently to them is nothing but like groomers and genital mutilation. That's whatever.
mean, here's the thing.
But
when
I
they're
wanna
right,
know.
they're right. When they have a point. That's the entire thing.
Queenie is kidding. Queenie is kidding. No, but I want to know. Like, I'm just curious. Like, what is your gay agenda? Like, what are you marching for, or what are you going for the parade?
I think the gay agenda is to let people be who they are and let them grow up without being suicidal, that they have to be in the closet. I mean, it's something that most queer people on any letter face is ideas of not being themselves. And we go through a period where most of my friends have been suicidal at some point. And that's how serious it is. And that's what we're fighting for, is to let people be themselves and mind your own freaking business. Let people do what they do.
What's so wrong about people being themselves?
Exactly.
Very simple, but
well, it depends on who they are, I guess.
Right? I know. There's something but like JD Vance, didn't JD Vance just like, he basically made some sort of announcement today, like we're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's missiles. And it's so mommy dearest. It's like, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the dirt. Like JD Vance, you cannot be yourself. Go somewhere else.
Yeah,
and not be
it's such an
yourself.
interesting evolution of the guns don't kill people kill people.
That whole thing.
It's just like,
it's
okay,
kind of
but opposite. They're like, no, now the missiles are actually the problem.
Yeah,
that's great.
But Queenie, what is your queer agenda?
Oh, attention. Really, I just want as many people to look at me as possible. But no, I mean the same thing. I mean, it's about visibility. It's about, just being able to, be yourself and see the younger generation, see people that are happy and have a day of color and vibrance, because it's bleak, it gets kind of bleak for the rest of the year, and we're kind of dealing with a lot of stuff right now. And I think this year more than anything is a protest of saying, no, we're gonna show up, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, out of, as you talked about during COVID, so many people came out to do comedy, more than ever. And I'm hoping that out of this time that we're in right now, even though it's bleak and it's sad, that it will give people the wherewithal to want to rise up even more than they ever have before.
Exactly.
We have to look at the potential positives there.
Well, I mean, the parade was originally a protest.
Yes,
that was the whole thing. So if that's what it returns to, I'm not mad about that.
Right.
I say, like, get Bank of America out of it, get Walgreens out of it, and let's get the grassroots people, let's get the actual people who are living this life, and let's all rally together.
Amen to that. I mean, Scott and I were lucky enough to be the co-grand marshals of the Buffalo Grove Pride Parade.
I almost wore my sash.
I saw that.
I've been wearing my sash at home, by the way. Have you been wearing your sash? I almost wore it to
Kathy
work.
said we should probably wear them to the parade next week.
Okay, I'll bring my sash. Done and done. Are you kidding me?
I have it with me now.
It is an accessory that you do not necessarily get to pull out every often.
No, you don't.
Very often.
And it's
sash
only
that's dripping
2025.
with embroidery.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
That's a whole thing.
But I was going to say that parade really speaks to what you're talking about. There wasn't the big companies there. It was the people. It was churches and Girl Scout groups and schools and community, and just there was something about it. It was like a small town parade, but it was for LGBTQ rights, and it felt really good. And I hope
it's beautiful that it's especially in a small town.
Yes, the suburbs, the white conservative
huge.
suburbs.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, and just to put into context, there were 103 organizations that marched at the Buffalo Grove Pride Parade. Thank you. Shout out to the Pinto Pride.
103.
Yes, it was an hour long.
And in Chicago, it's 150.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it's like it was,
Chicago just cut down a couple years ago because they started saying, "Hey, some of these people need to get out of here."
They had over 200 for a while.
It was a very long parade.
It's too long. It's like we are in the 10th hour of the Chicago Pride Parade.
For the 10th hour.
Tell us
oh my gosh,
about it.
we're gonna make it through. I think it's looking bleak right now. Ellen, what's your gay agenda?
My gay agenda is just to try and show by example, that here I am. I'm, if you like me for who I am, if you like my music, if you like me as a real estate agent or a talk show host, and I'm a lesbian, this is the lesson that you take, is that everybody needs to be respected and loved for who they are.
Yeah, we're just people. That's it.
Yeah, and
there's really not that much different about us when it really comes down to it.
I know. My gay agenda is all about trying to get Jerry to take the recycling out. that is number one on my gay agenda.
Yeah.
Like, we're just normal folks doing stuff that normal people do, just trying to live our lives. And how does my relationship, your marriage, how does that affect your life?
Yeah,
it doesn't.
And Chicago's an example of a city. Obviously, we are blue because we have diversity everywhere we look. I mean, my neighbors are straight, but they're allies. They're supportive. It's where you live in a town or a city, a small town or a small city, where people are afraid to come out, and people don't think they know anybody that's gay. They didn't realize their neighbor was gay. we must be our true authentic selves. It's the only way that we're going to get through to the
my
rest
mom
of the world.
worries about it a lot because she's sitting there like seeing all this stuff on the news, and I mean, she's very progressive, but she's looking at all this stuff, and she's sitting there is like, well, is Chicago still doing all this stuff? It's like, look, we're the stronghold.
Yes, we are.
The place that you need to worry about, that's the places around us.
Yes.
Because I'm from Batavia, and one of her good friends is doing a lot to like organize around queer rights in Batavia. I was like, look, that's where it's necessary the most.
Yes.
Because that's where they could very easily take stuff away because they don't have the representation. So the fact that there's a straight white woman in middle age who's sitting there saying, no, we need to protect these people, is like, that's actually the Lord's work right there.
Yes, it is. Show by example.
That's
what it should be.
That's so funny. There's several memes and things floating around these days, and one that I saw that really kind of resonated with me was like, I wear pride stuff, I wear rainbow stuff, not to let you know what I do in the bedroom,
right?
But rather to let that little kid in the grocery store that it's okay, or like that little boy who just happens to be looking at a dress right now, that it's okay. Look at that I'm here to support you. And I think that's the big message. And it feels like this, in the past, as you have been alluding to with all of these corporations, and the pink washing of pride has been a huge debate. It really does feel like this year, I think people are kind of understanding why the first Pride was a riot.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and understanding our history behind it.
And we should be proud. We should be very proud of how far we've come. I mean, I remember
such a short time.
Yeah, and being a kid in the 80s, I didn't even know what a gay person was. I mean, I had no idea.
I knew they were the ones that got AIDS. That's all I knew.
I was younger, so I didn't even know about AIDS. So
you just
there was
called
nothing
me
on
really
television.
old
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Okay, good.
I'm the young, like, little spring chicken here.
We didn't want to say it, but
we didn't want to say it out loud.
We all know now.
No, but now there's like
zero representation on TV. There was nobody.
Where did you grow up?
In Chicago.
In the city?
Yeah, grew up in the city. But not until I was older, and then I started learning about AIDS and all that stuff, and and it was obviously terrifying for everybody, but the fact that there was zero visibility, it was just we were completely erased from everything.
I know. And now how wonderful it is.
And look at this.
Marching down.
Yeah, I mean, it's so recent.
And people are mad about it.
I was born in the 90s, and I remember when I was coming up in college, the only thing you could watch was like Eating Out or something, which is like obviously like super campy, or you'd see them put in, but it was all tropes, and that was the only representation you had. I remember it was like in the 2010s, all of a sudden it was like this watershed moment of just like showing queer life as it actually is just became a thing, and I was like, where did this come from?
But thank God it was
I was in my 20s sitting there, I was like, this is crazy.
It came from brilliant comedic minds like yourselves. Hey everybody, make sure you check out Thirst Trap Salon this Thursday the 26th at Zanies. Go to zanies.com. I want to thank all of our guests today, Jack Schneider, Zara Baker, Shanta Narula, and of course Manny Petty and Queenie. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Have a freaking fabulous time.
Thank you. We're so excited. Have fun at the parade.
So very excited.
Thanks. We'll look for you.
Devin, thank you so much for everything.
Thank
Paul,
you,
you're
Devin.
doing a great job back
Paul.
there. Ellen Miller, I want you to have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
We'll see you for our 600th episode at the Pride Parade next week.
I'll be there.
It's great. And until next week, I'm Scott Tuff.
Stay proud.